Good morning, students. Good morning to all. And last day we have studied the basic concept of the economics, right? Have you remember what we have studied? Some of the consumer goods, capital goods, and the perishable goods, and the durable goods, and some of the services. Okay, some of the characteristics of service also we have studied, right? So the services of the character is first one intangible. Intangible means these things are not physical object, but they exist in connection to other things. Okay, for power connection or the telecommunication or the musicians or the music or some of the service provided by the doctors, engineers and lawyers, everything is also considered as a services. Okay, but these services are not having the physical object. Okay, but it is connected with other things. The services provided by the doctor is connected with the doctor. Okay, like that the musician is connected with the music, and it is also satisfied the psychological concept. It is satisfied the human mind setup. Okay, next heterogeneous. Next another feature is heterogeneous. Services vary across regions or cultural background. Okay, so the music and everything also will be varied from one person to another one of the person. Next, inseparable from their makers. So the services is not able to inseparable or transferable from one person to another persons, and it is not able to inseparable from their makers. Okay, so the skill for playing music is not separable from the musician, right? Next, the perishable. So these things are considered as a perishable goods, because I told you yesterday itself. So when we are going to watch the cricket match, we must show on the time itself. Okay, so after over the match we cannot able to see that same match. Okay, but nowadays on the basis of improvement of the technological, so we can easily save that match in any of the TV or systems. Okay, student, today we will study about the utility. So yesterday also we have studied some of the characteristics of utility. Okay, so some of the features of utility is a psychological. Utility is psychological mean it depends upon the consumer mental attitude. Okay, next, utility is not equal to usefulness. For example, if anybody want to smoking cigarette, the cigarette is also providing the utility. Okay, but it is not useful to the human body. Next, utility is not the same as pleasure. Utility is not the same as pleasure mean, for example, if a sick peoples want to take the tablet will give the utility. Okay, but when they are taking the tablet, he won't feel very pleasure, right? Next, utility is a personal and relative. Personal and relative mean it individual obtained. So the utility is different situation and the different places. Okay, so what things are doing by one person is differ from doing the same things used by other persons. Okay, when you are eating non-veg, you will get some satisfaction. Okay, but when I am eating the same non-veg, I won't get any satisfaction. Next, utility is a subjective concept. Subjective concept means, so we cannot measure the utility. Okay, I told you yesterday itself, if I am asking you how did you enjoy the movie, mean you will say yes, I have enjoyed very well, but we can't measurable. Okay, so we can consider the utility as a subjective concept. Next, utility has no ethical or moral significance. So on the basis of the utility, one things will be giving the same utility for all the persons, but in the same time when we are comparing, when we are analyzing the moral or ethical basis, it will not be provide the same benefit to others. Okay students, today we have studied the types of utility. Okay, so we have studied the utility, but in the same utility always have the different types. In different ways the peoples are having their utility. Okay, so first one of the type of utility is farm utility. Farm utility means now an individual consumer obtains utility from a good or services only when it is available in a particular farm. Okay, now we are using the cloth. Okay, but the cloth is obtained from, our cloth is formed by a so many threads. Otherwise now so many of, now for example, the best example is so the furniture items. Okay, so the furniture item is also made by the wood. Okay, so when we are using the wood we will not get any satisfaction. Okay, so after assigning all the wood only we will get full form of furniture, table, desk or bench or something. Okay, so after assigning all the raw materials and the semi-finished product, so if any of the product got the full form only, so the consumer will get the utility. Okay, when one raw materials are joined together and make the form, that is called farm utility. Okay, when the consumer using any one of the product as a finished form or full form, that is called farm utility. Okay, from the consumers are earning or obtaining utility when they are using the commodities by the full form, that is called farm utility. Okay, after becoming the raw materials converted as a full things or full finished things, only it will get the full form, that is called farm utility. Okay, after becoming the finished commodities only, so we will get the utility, that is called farm utility. Okay, next one is time utility. So a sick man derives time utility from a blood not at the time of his donations. Okay, now all the consumer want to consuming some of the commodities. When they need of, when they having in the need of, eager to consuming. Okay, when you are feeling so hungry. Okay, but in that time if you are eating anything you will get more satisfaction and more utility. Okay, so today you are being hungry and tomorrow if you are getting anything food mean you will not get any satisfaction. Okay, and from these goods you will not get some of the utility. Okay, and the proper, the good example is some of the sick man is admitted in hospital and he is in need of some unit of blood. Okay, but in the proper time if the patients are having the chance to getting the blood only, he will get the utility from the blood. Okay, after death of this patient or after curing the patient, when we are ready to providing the blood, it will not provide any of the usefulness and utility. Okay, so whenever we want to, whenever we are being in the need of utility in proper time or the particular time, and the particular time itself if you are consuming, if you are obtaining any of the usefulness only utility, that is called time utility. Okay, the time utility is measured on the basis of time. Within the proper time if you are obtain some of the utility, that is called time utility. Okay, next, place utility. Normally a student derives place utility from a book not at the place its publications but only at the place of his educations. So whenever we are going to consume union of the commodities, and the space itself we cannot consume, and in the space itself we cannot obtain the utility. Okay, normally, so the rice is coming from the agricultural field. Okay, and the rice also is purchasing from the union of the shop. But when we are getting the utility, so after purchasing the rice and make them as a food, only we will get as a utility. Okay, so on the basis of the place, if a persons are obtain some of the usefulness, that is called place utility. Okay, so now the students are get the book from their production area, maybe the publication center. Okay, but in that time he will not get any of the utility. Okay, when he is going to purchase from the shop, that time only he will get the utility. Okay, so when the place is producing in the industries, we cannot get any of the utility. Okay, so after that, after the commodities reaching the availability market, and after that when we are using the commodity only, we will get the utility. Okay, so that is called place utility. Okay, so on the basis of the place, availability of the place only, we will get some of the utility, that is called place utility. Okay, next is service utility. For example, an individual consumer derives service utility from a service made available at the time when the most need it. Okay, so when the persons are having the service on the time of needed. Okay, so when the peoples are obtain some of the service from the professionalist, we will get some of the service utility. Okay, so in the service utility, we will consider some of the time also is mentioned. Okay, so within the proper time, we have to get some of the service from the professionalist, and in the same time, whenever we want to get the services, so we will consuming some of the services from the professionalist, that is called service utility. Okay, for example, we will all the persons will be in need of the power and the communications and the water and the air and so many of the services. Okay, so many of the services is provided by the government. Okay, but in the individual persons want to obtain some of the services from the union of the professionalist, so they will get some of the service. Okay, some of the persons are obtain the usefulness in the form of services, that is called service utility. Next, possession utility. Possession utility means when we want to consuming union of the commodities, we will not get any utility. When the time of consuming that commodity only, we will get some of the utility. Okay, normally if you want to eat some of the apple, we won't get any of the utility. Okay, so after purchasing the commodities, or after having the commodities only, we will get some of the utility. For example, the good example, when a student buys a book or dictionary from a bookseller, then only it gives utility. Okay, when he in the need of, or when he too wants to consuming any of the commodities, he won't get any of the utility. When he has the book must be possessed by that student. Okay, so whatever we want, that commodities must be possessed by us only, we will get some of the utility. Okay, that is called the possession utility. Okay, when the peoples having some of the commodity in their hand itself or in their own, that time only he will get some of the utility. That is called possession utility. Next, knowledge utility. Next, knowledge utility. Knowledge utility means normally when we have the more knowledge about something, we will have some of the utility. For example, what can we say? Okay, we have some of the car, one luxury car, for example, Audi car. Okay, so when we have the car, we cannot be able to get the utility. Okay, but when we have the knowledge to operate the car, how to operate the car, and when we are operating the time only, we will get some of the utility. Okay, so if we want to obtain the utility, we must have some of the knowledge to operate it and make it. That is called knowledge utility. Okay, and you have one luxury car. Okay, but if you don't know to how to operate the car, will you get the utility? No, you won't get any utility. But when you have the thorough knowledge to operate the same car, you can easily ride that car and you will get some of the utility. When you have the utility, when you have the knowledge to operate the car only, you will get the utility from that car. Okay, that is called knowledge utility. Okay, now so many of the knowledge is provided by the advertisement and some of the practice also we will get. Okay, so what are the types of utilities are there? Form utility, time utility, place utility, service utility, possession utility, and knowledge utility. When you are reading in the name itself, you can understand and you can study it clearly. Okay, next, measurability of utility. So we are saying the utility, no, but how to measurable the utility? We have to measuring the utility, no, how to measuring? So already we have studied, we cannot measuring the utility because the utility is the subjective matter. Now if I am asking you, how did you enjoy when you are watching the movie, you will say, yes, I enjoyed more. Okay, but we can't measure. Okay, but even though some of the measurement is also maybe the subjective concept only, we cannot measuring, but even though if we have any of the measurable, so this measure is called as util. So wants of a person are satisfied by the act of consumption. Okay, wants of a person are satisfied by the act of consumption. If the wants of a consumer is come to an end after satisfied or after consuming the commodity what they want, and if they getting satisfied to consuming that commodities, so the wants will come to an end. The consumption derives utility measured in terms of utils. The consumption derives utility measured in terms of utils. Okay, the measurability of util is called as utils. UTILS, utils. So normally some of the goods are measurable in the form of kilogram, and some of the liquid items are measurable by the liter, so like that. So the utility is also measurable in the term of utils. Okay, and utils is a measurement of utility. So normally the individual person pays a price for the unit of good, so it will equal to the utility derived. Okay, suppose if you want to pay some amount of the money for any of the commodities, you must have some of the past experience of the utility. Okay, normally we are purchasing some of the commodities and you also ready to pay some amount of the money for that commodities on the basis of utility only. So in this utility may be obtained from your past experience. Okay, if you have some of the knowledge about that commodities, and if you are thinking so this commodity is worthy to give that money, same amount of money, mean you will ready to pay some amount of the money. So one of the economists, Alfred Marshall, told the utility can be measured indirectly using the measuring of money. Okay, suppose if the persons are ready to give the more money for purchasing any of the commodities, we can consider that commodity maybe have more utility. Okay, sometimes some persons are ready to give the more money to some purchasing some of the commodity, for the pen or some amount of the car or some type of the fridge and some type of the cloth. Okay, so on the basis of the utility only, the persons will be ready to give the more money. Okay, 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 students. Next one of the concept in our economics is price. Always we have studied about the price only. Okay, when we are analyzing the market conditions or the market forces and the different kinds of the market, we will study about the price. We will study more on the price only. Okay, price is the value of the good expressed in terms of money. So what is the meaning of price mean? What will you say? Price is the value of the good, the goods expressed in the terms of money. If any one of the goods is value of the goods is expressed in the terms of money, that money value only is called as a price for that good. Okay, normally for example the gold, now the price for the gold is very high. Okay, this meaning is the value of the gold is very high. Okay, how can we understand the value of the good is very high? Because the money of the gold is very high, so we can say the value of the good also, the value of the gold also very high, because it is expressed in the terms of money. Okay, and not only that, so the price of a good is fixed by the force of demand for and supply for the good. Normally how the price is determined, on the first class itself I have told you. So normally the price is determined on the basis of demand and supply of the commodities. Okay, so in this market the demand for one commodity is very highly, means so the price of that commodities also will be increased on the basis of increasing the demand. Okay, so not only that, even the supply of the commodity is very higher in our market mean, so the price automatically will be reduced. Okay, so the determinations of price always determined by the market force of supply and demand of the commodities. Okay, so normally so the supply and demand also will be determined by the price. Okay, and price only will be decided to some of the basic problems. I told you, what goods are to be produced and in what quantities we have to produce. Okay, these two things are determined by the price only. Okay, suppose some of the price of that good is very higher mean, so all the producer want to increasing or producing that commodities which has more price. Okay, so when he has producing the commodities which has more price, he will earn more profit. Okay, and it's what quantity? Okay, on the basis of population, on the basis of the availability of the commodities in this market, so the producers will be determined what quantities they have to produce. Okay, suppose is the demand for commodities is highly and the price of that same commodities also very high means, so the producer will produce abundantly. Okay, even if the price is very or normal or the reasonable, he will earn or he will produce more commodity. And not only that, the price only also determined how the goods are to be produced. Okay, so we want to produce the commodities by using any of the factor of productions. Okay, so normally the producers arrange the factor of production to produce any of the commodities. So in this case, so the producer may arrange the more labor or more machineries. Okay, suppose the supply of the commodity is very higher in our market, mean he will arrange any of the machineries to the fast and quick productions. Okay, otherwise he will arrange some of the labor only to produce that commodities. Okay, so price only is determined what to produce, how to produce, and into what quantities also. Okay, so we can consider the price only is determined the some basic problems also. Okay, next market. So different kind of the market also we will study, and so many of the market conditions also is there. Okay, so normally now we will study about the market. So generally market means we will say the place where the commodities are bought and sold. No, so where the commodities or goods are bought and sold, that place is may be considered as a market in common word. Okay, but in economics it represents where the buyer and sellers enter into an exchange of goods and services over a price. Okay, so it does not consider any of the particular place only. Okay, so wherever the buyers and the sellers enter into a exchange of goods and services, that place may be considered as a market. Okay, normally we will say the weekly market and the monthly market or the daily market, and the buyers and the seller will be meet in a particular area or the union of the common area. Normally we will say that is the market. Okay, but in economics, wherever, so even if the place, the particular place is not mentioned, so we can consider the place where the buyers and sellers enter into the exchange of goods and services. Okay, so that place is called as a market. Next, cost. So different type of the cost also we will study. So the cost refers to the expenses incurred to produce or acquire a given quantum of a good. Okay, when we are purchasing, when we are acquiring some quantum, some amount of the good, we will spend some amount of the money. Okay, how much amount are going to spend for the purchasing commodities, that amount only is called as cost. Okay, but in this area, so the production cost and the purchasing consumer cost also is there. Different type of the cost I told you, no. So we will study later. For the purpose of producing one of the commodities, how much amount is going to spend to produce that commodities, that is called production cost. Normally cost refers to the expenses only. Expenses incurred to produce or acquire a given quantum of a good. Okay, for the purpose of produce or for the purpose of acquiring a number of good, we will spend some amount of the money. That amount of money is called as expenses. That expenses amount is considered as a cost. Okay, next, revenue. So revenue is the income obtained from the sale of goods and services. Revenue is the income obtained from the sale of goods and services. So normally who will gathering the revenue, mean the seller side or the sales or the producers only will be earning the revenue. Okay, so revenue is the income obtained from the sale of goods and services. When the producer or the sellers are obtaining some amount of the money for selling the goods and services, that is called revenue. Okay, now if the producers are producing the commodities and it is handled to the wholesaler, and the wholesaler also selling the same commodities to the market. Okay, when they are selling that commodities, he will obtain some amount of the income. That income only is called as a revenue. So in this revenue, so we will study the total revenue, marginal revenue, and the average revenue, the different type of the revenue also we will study it. Okay, so the revenue will obtained from the price into quantity of commodities. Okay, so the revenue is obtained from price into quantity. When we are multiplying the total quantity of goods with the price of the goods, we will get the total revenue. Okay students, today we have studied some of the types of utility and the other concept of the economics also. So in this area, if you have any doubt, please ask me. And the today's study portion is just types of utility. Okay, just study very clearly. If you have any doubt, please ask me. I will tell. Thank you.